Hi everyone, Jan here. Greetings from the Czech Republic. I hope that everybody is healthy and okay. As you know, we have this corona crisis, which is the main reason why I'm not with you in your club. Instead of my normal presentation, I'm gonna make this video especially for you. So this is the pine which you selected from the pictures which I sent a few weeks ago to your club. And without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to spin in 360 with the tree, that you can check all of its sides. So here we have the base. As you can see, we have something as a triple trunk there. This is how it looks from this side, and this is the other side. The base looks pretty much the same as from the other side, but it's a little bit less attractive. Let's say there is just this one huge thick root here, nothing more. Currently, I like it a little bit more from this side. Yeah. So again, here is the close-up of the base from all sides. And as you can see, I planted this tree during the past spring 2020 into the one of our slabs, or the containers, stoneware containers from our production. You can check the structures of our stones in this close-up, and you know, I almost how to express myself. Let's say that during the repotting process, I always check the tree from all sides. I take my time, and then I always try to plant the tree in some position or angle which would be useful for the future styling. It's like almost like an intuitive process, or sometimes it takes me a while, sometimes it's quite fast decision, and but the main focus is to plant the tree into some position which would be useful. So in this case it was easy, because there is quite stable base, which usually dictates the position of the tree or the planting angle. So in this case there were not that much changes. Yeah, to plant the tree into the position which would be useful and which I also like. Even if I don't know exactly how the tree will look like after the styling, I like it like it's planted. I like the visual stability of the base. I like the main trunk lines. Even if I'm gonna change most of the tree quite significantly, I like it as it is. It inspires me, and this is the good starting point for me. When I don't like how the tree looks like because of the planting angle or the main characteristics as a base, if it looks too weak because of some weird angle or weird shape, if the trunk line is too rigid or too straight, for example, probably I'm gonna repot the tree. Or first of all, I spend couple of minutes with the tree. I literally play with all of the possible angles, and I try to find something what catch my attention. This is the approach which I use almost every time or every repotting. So let's say that this is the result of this process. Tree planted into the slab or stone in this particular position as a starting point, and from there let's move forward. Here is some sort of volunteer plant. To tell the truth, I have no idea what is this, but it looks quite nice and I like it, so why not? I'm gonna keep this plant here. Makes the tree or make the composition a little bit more interesting, and it adds some eye catcher. And now let's talk about the weak points or the problems or things which I don't like that much on this tree. If we analyze the tree, we should always start from inside out. What's outside, it almost doesn't matter, because I'm gonna change almost everything, or very significantly the shape of the silhouette, this roundness which I don't like that much, but it doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside of the tree. So let's check it, and let's talk about this main area here. We have 1, 2, 3 trunks in the same location. They look pretty much the same, and the angle of these trunks looks very, very similar. Somehow it makes the tree, it looks almost funny to me here. There is no asymmetrical shape, there is no elegance, it's very rigid, it is very boring in one way, but on the other hand it catched our attention in the wrong way, let's say, because we focus on this area which is not, it's simply not nice. Another problem, objective problem, we can call it like that, is that there is simply no space, no open space, no free space where we are able to create something. It's very occupied with branches, and for such a small tree there is no room, no space how to start actually. And what I like is the visible base and visible first portion of the tree. And if we have all of these trunks, and especially this one here, and let's imagine that I'm gonna start to wire up the branches and I'm gonna put some movement here, I can end up with very symmetrical, very wide shape, and this is something what I don't want, what I don't want to achieve in this case. I would love to see something much more lighter, elegant. I want to see the base of the tree, I want to see part of the slab, I want to open the shape, open the space, and increase the asymmetrical feeling of this tree. And this asymmetry in the shape is much more appropriate for the slab. You know, it's the slab. It's much more closer to the higher elevation, for high mountains, wild areas, you know, wildlife, mountains, strange shapes, asymmetrical shapes, old trees which grows in the harsh conditions. And because of that, I'm gonna eliminate this trunk. I'm gonna use it as a portion of the dead wood, which is gonna increase the dramatic appearance of the tree, and it's gonna open up some space for us to continue. and I'm gonna eliminate this very symmetrical and oddly looking part of the tree. So let's get started with that. So it will be quite heavy reduction of the foliage, but we are in the end of the year, in late fall, and all of the energy of the tree, the sugars and starches, they are already here in the root system. So this is much less active right now, so I can remove the part of the foliage, and during the spring all the strength from the roots will come here into the foliage, and it's gonna load up the rest of the tree, what's gonna left after the styling, with pretty heavy amount and big amount of energy. So in this particular part of the year, late fall, the heavier reduction of the foliage in case of pines is not such a big deal. We can do it. So let's start with the reduction. I'm gonna remove the foliage just like that. So this entire section is going to be removed. Just like that. So I removed all the foliage from this trunk, and now I'm going to use the pliers, and I'm gonna squeeze the branch in this direction and this direction, and I'm going to remove all the bark and turn this branch into the part of the dead wood. So just like that. And because of the late fall, the tree is not that active as during the main period of the strong spring and summer growth, so I don't expect any huge sap leaking out of this section. It's always better to apply these techniques of the dead wood creation on the fresh wood during the winter or late autumn. Okay, so I'm done here. I removed the bark from this part, and now you may ask how I'm gonna avoid this angle, very similar to this angle here. Probably I'm gonna wire up this dead part also with the rest of the branches, and I'm gonna bend it very significantly somewhere over here in the background, and I'm gonna fill up the background with something, with some sort of line, some little eye catcher which gonna be here, something that's gonna add the visual interest, visual value, and more character and overall dramatic feeling of this tree. So I'm almost done with the cleaning process of this dead portion, and I'm going to continue with the stretching the bark from this area just a little bit more, because I want to emphasize the very subtle movement from here to these two trunks. Yeah, let's imagine that this is all white and dead, and here is very subtle shari, and here we have the living bark, or here's the dark line of the double trunk, and here is the white line of the dead section, because right now it looks a little bit unfinished, it's going nowhere, right? So I'm going to continue a little bit more. So as I said, I'm going to continue to remove the bark a little bit from this area, and for this work I like to use these kind of tools, this U-shape and even this smaller hook. So simply like that. The back side also. A little bit more, and I'm going to start with a little shari here, just a little bit. Maybe I can go much further in the future, but right now this will be enough. It doesn't need to be perfect in the first go. Okay, and now I'm going to remove part of the wood from the back side, rear side of this gin, this dead wood, to make it much more flexible, because my idea is to bend this dead wood here in the background very significantly to avoid this angle between this trunk and this dead branch here, which is pretty much the same as this angle here, and just to remove this element, visually remove it somewhere over here and avoid this angle, as I said. So let's do it. So I'm going to very simply remove a little bit of the tissue here, just like that. I can improve the dead wood a little bit more later. This is just the very rough work this is the structural work of the little dead wood here. Do you see? Yeah, it's very flexible now. Maybe a little bit more down there, just like that. Okay, so now it will be much more easier to bend this dead wood nicely here in the background. Okay, so for now I'm done with this section here, and let's clean up the tree and prepare the branches for the wiring. And I think I'm gonna also select some of the branches, because we have too many branches. We still have too many. So, as I said, now is the time to select the rest of the branches, clean up the branches and prepare the branches for the wiring. So, let's check this branch here. It's super long. It's very long, and we don't need that branch here. So I'm going to remove it also. But I kind of like this one here, because the starting point of this branch, the junction, will be not visible, and I'm gonna use it for the background, maybe just temporarily for a couple of seasons. And we also need to think about the strategy to keep as many branches as possible. Actually, sounds a little bit odd because I already removed quite a big portion, but it let's call it a necessary reduction to open up the space to be able to create something new, right? So I like this branch here, so this will be usable branch. What about this one? why not? I can use it, so I'm going to clean up the branch, remove these little knobs which can make problems during the wiring, so it's always a good idea to remove these little knobs and make the branches clean and ready to be wired up. This is super weak shoot, no butt in the end, and it starts from it originates from the here underneath this branch. So I'm going to remove this one. This is too weak. I can leave these two shoots here, and this is pretty ugly knob here. I'm gonna remove it. No butt in the end of this shoot here. Need to go. Okay. Looks good. So I'm going to continue with the branch selection and cleaning process, and it's very important for me to really touch all the branches. Touch the branches, get to know the branches, get to know my tree, because I can discover a lot of very important things, like little damage in the branches, little cracks, like, you know, yeah, this branch is a little bit strange. There is something is going on. Okay, I need to be careful during the wiring and bending process to not snap these branches and so on. So all of this information I can receive during the cleaning process. So the cleaning is not only about the mechanical clean up the tree, it's about thinking about the ideas, discovering things. So now I need to make another important decision. Here we have too many branches, too much foliage, and I would like to bring or bend this section here and to create the main character branch. And from this angle we can see pretty nice subtle movement of this main dominant trunk here, but next to it is this pretty straight portion here. It will be not that easy to bend it in the good way, in the proper way, to create something elegant and nice. So I'm going to remove this section here, and I'm going to use this one as a continuation of the trunk line for this secondary smaller trunk. So I remove this section here. I'm going to turn it into that part also in pretty much the same way as this one. So let's do it. Pliers. So I remove the bark. It's very straight, nothing special really. So I will put some wire on it, bend it slightly, or maybe I will just break it and remove it entirely during the styling and wiring. Let's leave it as it is. It's not a big deal, but what I like is the very nice and subtle movement here in the main trunk, and now it's fully visible. I like that. Okay, so I'm going to clean up the rest of the branches, remove all of the knobs, dead shoots, super weak shoots, shoots without any butts, like this one. I'm going to turn up this section here to the dead wood also, and the tree will be ready for the wiring, and we're gonna set up the main structure. Okay, so the tree is ready for the styling, for the wiring. I literally have a feeling like, okay, now it's open, I can breathe, the tree can breathe, there is enough space, but also plenty of the branches to create. It's it's nice feeling like, okay, let's do it. Now I feel inspired and motivated. Before it was like, you know, symmetrical, fully occupied with branches, nothing was really clear, nothing was really visible. Now it's very different. So this is the ideal situation. So for the wiring process, I'm gonna use the aluminum wires, and for the structural wiring it's necessary to use quite heavy gauges of the wires. It means that the wire needs to be always stronger and harder than the branch. Imagine it like that. Think about that, like that. You put the wire on the branch, and you need to feel that you can bend the branch wherever you want. This is super important. Otherwise, you will be not able to achieve the main structural setting, and the wires will not hold in its place. It will be like a constant fight with the tree. And there is also one super important thing. When you build up the main structure of the tree, you need to bring the branch in the particular places, but you also need to put the movement and character into the branches. And the wire, when the wire is not strong enough, you will be not able to put this character into the branches, this extra movement. Okay, so the wiring is not only to putting the branches into the space, it's also about, especially the first main styling, is about adding the movement and character into the branches, avoiding the straight boring parts. Yeah, this is super important. This is how we increase the value of our tree, value of our work, and this is how we're gonna build up really high quality tree over the period of time. So I'm going to start with the wiring process here with my main character branch and the continuation of the trunk line of my secondary trunk. If it's possible, it's always a good idea to connect two branches with one piece of wire, and remember, the wire always needs to be stronger than the branches. We're going to manipulate with the branches significantly. We are going to add the movement, as I said, so the wire needs to be thick. I'm going to apply the wire. Need to be sure that I have enough. This should be okay. I'm going to lock down the wire here on this branch. So my right hand is holding the wire on the right spot. And now I need to carefully apply the wire here. Just like that. So just 1.5 or 2 spirals, and now I'm going to switch the position of my hands. Now the left hand protects the wire, holds the wire, or protect the branch and holds the wire on its spot, and my right hand works. It's a good idea to have the branches in the front of you, just like that. Okay? The work will be much more easier for you. And I'm going to use the length of my wire as a leverage. The application of the wire is much easier, especially when we work with these heavier gauges. Do you see these little bit longer endings of my wire? They are super important because I use them as a handlebar. You know, it's my tool to grab the branches and bend them, and I always remove these extended pieces after the styling. If I remove them before the styling, it's sometimes very difficult to grab the branches and apply the right force and the direction of your force to manipulate with the branches. So this is very important and very helpful tool. So immediately after the wiring, I also style the branches. So let's grab it here. My right hand is protecting the branches, the crotch here. My left hand, I'm gonna grab here my handy bar here, and I'm going to put the basic movement. I cannot go lower because I can end up with very ugly artificial arch here. So instead of that, to go down, I will go up and then down, and I'm going to add some movement. So let's go slightly up and backwards. First backwards. Now down, towards me, and up. A little bit more. Okay, now this section here. So I put some very basic movement and I changed the position of these two structural pieces slightly. I'm going to continue with the other branches, and then the real fun begins, because I will need to apply quite a lot of force and work with the extra movement, put additional character into my branches. Sometimes it's very physically intense, even if the tree is quite small as this one. So let's apply more wires and gradually, continuously build up our structure. So I'm going to put the wire to this branch here. Okay, so I'm applying the wire to the main structural piece here, or the main trunk, and here to the back branch. I have little gap of my wire here, so I'm going to try to improve it. Just like that, nice. Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. I need to twist with this section, just like that. And go lower. Yeah. That's cool. I will need to apply another wire here to be able to move with this section, but I have plenty of the branches, so I have good options how to solve the wire application here. So I'm going to connect the next wire with this branch again. and I will continue from here towards this branch. Okay, so this one and this one will be connected with one piece of wire, and I'm going to reinforce this section here. As I said, let's reinforce this section here with another wire. Okay. And now I'm going to carry this wire to the rest of this branch here. Okay, so let's wire up the rest of the branches of the main structure, and let's put them into the right positions. Actually, I would put some movement here into this big branch. So actually I should work a little bit more with this one. I'm going to bring it backwards much more. And then towards the front. Nice. Okay, so now the back branch. I'm going to occupy this space with this one here. So this one should stay in the pretty much the same position, but as you can see it's very straight, so my job will be to add the movement. Okay, let's do it. So let's go up in this section, and then back. Okay, straight part here, so I'm going to bend it like that and add some basic movement, just some basic movement without overthinking the position of my branches. This is still pretty straight, so just like that. Okay. Nice. But a little bit more. And also some twisting movement like that. It's also very important. So I'm going to wire up these two branches as a separate independent pieces, independent from this main structural piece here. Okay, so just like that. I'm going to improve the deadwood a little bit, make a little bit more of the detail work here and there, and then I'm gonna smash it somewhere over here into the background, and it will be quite nice, interesting special feature out there. Okay, so just like that, with the gin pliers, I'm going to improve these little branches to remove these straight scissors cuts, just like that. Because later on would be difficult to improve the deadwood here because of lack of space and so on, so it's better to do it right now. So I'm going to wire up the deadwood with a piece of aluminum. Let's twist with the deadwood, just like that. I'm gonna use the pliers to make my work a little bit easier. Something like that, yeah. What about this one? I kind of like it like that. Why not? Let's leave it like that. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to wire up these little bit thinner branches. Let's finish the main structure. I will make more improvements here and there in these main structural branches. There is still space to improve the character and the shape. I can add more. So I'm going to wire up this one, but even if the branch is quite thin, I'm going to use quite a thick structural wire. You see, it's almost in the wire is pretty much the same diameter as the branch, and it's because of the length of the branch. When the branch is quite thin but long, we need to create a good support. Otherwise, you know, even the mild wind or the bird can sit on these leggy branches, and they're gonna change the position of your branches. So when the branches are quite long and leggy like this one, it's always a good idea to use fairly strong structural wire. I'm going to attach the wire here, just like that. Change the position of my body to make it visible for you. Just like that, okay. And now, good protection, good support with my right hand. So, is it visible for you? Okay, like that better. here I have the 3 branches in the same location, but the ideal situation is to have just 2 branches, but this is the first initial styling, so it doesn't matter. I'm gonna use as much foliage as possible. So this is the section of the 3 branches in the same location here. So first of all, I'm going to improve the line of this main structural piece. So let's bring it a little bit more backwards, and here in this straight part I'm going to put some movement. Better. And now, of course, I need to improve the angle of these crotches here. This 90-degree angle is super ugly, so let's try to improve it. So I'm going to close up the crotch. Do you see how I'm protecting the crotch with my left hand? The thumb and this one, they push together, just like that. And now outside towards the sun. Much better, right? Much more elegant and nice crotch. Same here. So just like that. Okay. So here I have 3 branches, but maybe next season or after 2 years I'm going to remove this one, or maybe the center stem, or maybe this one. Let's see. Till now there is no problem of the swelling of this part, because sometimes when we have more than 2 branches in the same location, this part can start to swell and we can end up with a quite ugly bulk of the wood in this section like that. But till now it's okay, so I'm going to use all of these 3 branches and let's keep more foliage, more needles on the tree. And now I can put more movement, more character here, upwards, and now downwards again. The tree is pretty small, but I need to put a lot of character into the branches, so the work is maybe a little bit harder and more difficult than in case of the bigger trees. In general, I consider the work on the smaller trees more difficult and more challenging than to work with the little bit bigger trees, because it's easier. Sometimes it's easier to get the right proportions. Yeah, technically, it can be demanding. You know, you need to bend heavy structural pieces, so it means a lot of raffia, heavy wiring. You need to use your strength, you know, a lot of very physical work, but to to improve the shape of the branches and put them into the new and right positions, it's sometimes easier than in case of the smaller trees, but not always, of course. So let's wire up another 2 structural pieces. Here this will be super nice back branch, and this one will be part of the apex. So it's just like that. Okay. Okay. So this one will go somewhere over here. And I'm going to open up this branch to spread out the branches like that. Okay. I don't know yet what I'm going to make out of this one, so leave it like that. And let's continue with another branches here. So let's make the tree out of this little octopus. So far I was building up the structure, and now let's focus to the detail work, secondary branches and adjustments of the future foliage paths. I have big doubts with this one. This one will be the last piece which I'm going to remove. It's too much here. Now I'm going to start from the very first lowest branch all the way up, one by one, just like that. So now all the work with the heavy gauges like 5 millimeters, 6.5 millimeters should be done, and I will start to wire up the secondary branches. So now I need to make a step down with the diameters of the wire. So I prepared my wires about 2 millimeters, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Okay. So let's start with this first primary branch. Let's increase the movement like that, up, and in this section down again. Now I need to check out the tissue a little bit more, because there is already some tension, some movement, so I need to be a little bit more careful and check out how behaves the tissue here. If I will start to see these white marks in the tissue, it's a sign that it's maybe enough. Okay, so I can bend until I will see these white marks. Up here. So this is pretty nice. I like this movement. So little by little I'm adding and increasing the movement and the shape of this branch. This is nice. I can go maybe even a little bit lower. Nice. So it's more or less finished, and the tissue is completely okay. There is absolutely no sign of any damage or tension. Even these white stripes, the white marks, are not present, are not visible. Ideal situation. So now I'm going to wire up this one here. And I'm going to connect the wire with this branch here. So I'm going to bring this one up to follow the same line or character of this primary branch. So up and down again. Here I'm going to wire up another secondary branch. Minor cleanup of the bottom needles to clean up the line. Okay. So I'm slightly adjusting the position of these little secondary branches. Now, one very important thing. During the main structure wiring, when you put a lot of movement into in all of these branches, this situation when the branch is flipped upside down appears very often, but we always need to respect the natural position of each of these needle clusters. So my work here will be to bring the end of the branch back into its natural position towards the sun, because this is the bottom part and this is the top part. But it shouldn't be like that. It's a huge additional stress for the tree. So I will do it like that. Back into its natural position. Okay, so now this part is back to its natural position. Never leave the branches flipped upside down. It's a huge stress for the tree. We don't want to do that. So always bring them back to its original position. This is the top, this is the bottom. We need to always respect that. Okay, so my idea is to push the tree from this side a little bit more and elongate this part here. Let's push this part inside of the tree a little bit more. Just like that. Let's work in the rear portion of the tree. So here we have another big branch. So it's always the same story. Clean up the bottom line to orient yourself in the situation. Okay, so this will be my bottom. The branches are pretty long here, so actually I'm going to lay them down, open up, bring them towards the sun, and that's it. Okay, so next section here. Bit of cleaning. Okay, so let's follow here, finish this section. So I slightly reorganized this bottom section, and okay, let's wire up. Let's put a wire here on this one, push it a little bit more inside. Minor cleaning to this one. Yeah, again the bottom line, no bud here. Actually there is one little bud, I can leave it. Okay, so now the apex. I'm going to put this branch somewhere. Let's fill up the backside a little bit with this one. Okay. Let's put the wire to this one. Okay. I don't really need this one. No, I don't need it. So, what I'm doing right now are very small adjustments, little changes. Slightly change the position here and there of the branches, and in order to improve the shape of the tree or the position of the branches. So, okay, so I made several very fine adjustments. I clean up the surface layer of the substrate, I remove all the needles and the dirt. So it is what it is. Very first initial styling of this little pine. Here I found a little detail. This root is actually dead, so I can remove the bark and make a nice little feature here. Just like that. I can open up a little bit more this area, and even more in the future. So cool. Let's spin with the tree that you can see from all sides. I this extended piece of wire. Yeah. Okay, I can imagine that I will push the tree a little bit more from this side, make it more compact. Once these branches produce back buds and so on, I can push it more here, elongate more here to increase the general movement towards the left side. And who knows, maybe even this part will be removed in the future or turned into the gin, into the dead wood. I can open up more. I would like to see more open spaces, but for the first initial styling I removed more than enough of the foliage, so I will leave it like that for now. You know, it was just very first initial step for the tree, so it's good to be normal, to think normal. You know, the tree needs to evolve. We need to build up on the top of something, so this is a pretty good start, I think, for this little pine. So this is the end of the video. The work is done. I hope you enjoyed the video, that it was useful for you guys. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy, and bye for now.